Hello, it's so good to be with you again, and thanks for taking a couple minutes. As we're looking at Luke chapter 12, we realize that Jesus is equipping the disciples to live in really challenging times. So here's what he says in verse 11 and 12 of chapter 12. When they bring you before the synagogues and the rulers and the authorities, do not become anxious about how or what you should speak in your defense or what you should say. For the Holy Spirit will teach you in that very hour what you ought to say. That's a really good word right there, and I think a lot of us need that. You know, when we're out there in the world and we're not being dragged in front of synagogues to give a response to why we believe what we believe, we're also not being taken before rulers and authorities. There are Christians in China that have that very issue going on, and in Muslim nations that issue is going on as well, but I think sometimes we can find ourselves being so intimidated that we avoid the conversation about Jesus because we're afraid that they're going to ask a question that we can't have an answer for. And then when we find out that Jesus said if we deny him before men or we don't confess him before men, he won't confess us before the Father, with all this condemnation heaps up on us. I think it's really important for us to step into what Jesus said. He says, don't get anxious. Because I think sometimes in the moment we get so panicked, like, oh no, they asked the question, I don't know the answer. And Jesus is telling us, learn how to not be anxious. Well, the only way that you can do that, I think, is to begin to step out and to confess the Lord, and then learn to just continue to walk in peace. Because he said, he's not only going to teach you the what, but also the how. And he'll give you the words in that moment. So I think this is going to take practice. And let's just decide that we're going to be willing to make mistakes. You have to do that. But then he's going to just tell you what to say, which is so important. And then also how to say it. In other words, what tone to take, or like, don't take them too far. Just give them enough. Just plant a seed, or just water the seed that someone else planted. Or maybe you know that it's time for them to talk to that person and say, man, it sounds like you understand. It's time for you now to just invite Jesus into your own heart. So this is a process here. And I'm thinking that Jesus is really helping us to know that he knows that we can get all intense and get all concerned. But let's begin to trust the Holy Spirit. So when you're praying for your coworkers or family members or whatever it might be, the Lord's saying, don't get like a deer in the headlights. Take a deep breath. You know, it doesn't even hurt at the beginning to say, you know, I don't know the answer to that question. And just allow the Holy Spirit to speak to you while you remain in peace. And then trust him and say, Lord, you said you're going to tell me what to say and how to say it. And in that moment, the Holy Spirit might even say, hey, don't respond at all right now. But whatever it might be, we just have to begin to trust the Lord and his faithfulness that the Holy Spirit will speak through us.